What is the best legal way to annoy your neighbors you can think of? My previous neighbor was the biggest jackass I've ever lived next to. I got passive revenge one day by deciding to fertilize my yard with that stinky fishy liquid formula when I noticed he was having all his mates over for a barbecue. Can anybody tell me what the deal is with homeowners association? I don't have any in my area, so I'm confused by how they have any authority over your property? And why they care? Think of it like a local union, except for a private community, with the goal of keeping everyone's property values and equity high. The goal is to standardize living conditions and avoid trash, disrepair, and unsightly, irresponsible or plain stupid decisions that would devalue the properties of everyone around the house. In practice, they're typically a bunch of lawn-worshipping asshats that have finagled their way into a position of pseudo-power. The association encompasses a set number of properties, forming a marked community, and one of the legal requirements of purchasing one of those properties is to join the presiding homeowners association, including agreeing to all of their bullcrap. And then you pay dues for the privilege of being harassed and fined over stupid crap. I won't ever be a part of one. Our upstairs neighbors when I was in middle school made a ton of noise every night around 9 p.m. moving furniture, arguing at top volume, slamming doors, etc. So my mom always had me practice my tuba under noisy neighbor's bedroom before school in the morning. Our downstairs neighbors made a ton of tuba noise every morning before school scales, happy birthday, breath exercises, etc. So I always moved furniture, argued at top volume, slammed doors every night around 9 p.m. My upstairs neighbor made a ton of noise moving furniture and shouting at night, and my downstairs neighbor played tuba every morning, so I murdered both families. I wish I could take credit for this one, but I found it elsewhere on the internet. Have a neighbor you just hate and want to get them while remaining completely anonymous? Buy a lot of old keys, $10 to $20. Then buy a bunch of cheap key tags. Write on the tag things like house key with their phone number on the tags. Leave these tagged keys all over the place. At stores. On hiking trails. Sidewalk. Whatever you can think of, just bury all the places. Now they will get calls from random strangers saying they found their keys all the time. Your strategic placement could mean they get 5 calls tomorrow or 1 call a year from now. Your level of commitment is their level of insanity getting contacted about lost keys. It will cost you a little bit of money, but is legal and petty level 9000. If you share a property line with grass, wait till they mow their lawn and then mow yours and leave the tiniest strip of uncut grass between your yards. Put up a ham radio antenna. Ugly as hell, and generally legally allowed. And after a certain height, it is legal to put a big red light on top that blinks. After a certain height, you must put a big flashing light on top. Pick up a new musical hobby. Tuba, recorder, bagpipes, accordion, etc. Just make sure to leave all the windows open, so they can also track your progress. Our neighbor has a drum set in a 1-bedroom apartment. I very much support people who don't let their circumstances stand in the way of their dreams. I just wish he had a better, less loud dream. If their driveway is close to your property line and your driveway is on the exact opposite side, plant a whole bunch of trees off of these lists. Plant these near their driveway and their cars will be covered in bird crap no matter what they do unless they go into the garage. Now, for posterity, why do you want to annoy your neighbor? Web link. I don't think this comment is getting the credit it deserves. Well played, my friend. Beehives. Perfectly legal where I live, have had them for over 10 years. They are no bother to anyone and most of my neighbors love them, good for their gardens and free honey. Neighbor who moved in 5 years ago has a problem with them apparently. She has called the council and police too many times to count, and they say the same thing, it's legal, they're not annoying anyone and the bees were there first. She tried to take matters into her own hands whilst drunk/high jumped the fence in the middle of the night with a can of fly spray. Was very dark, so she accidentally jumped into my neighbor's yard instead. Their very large guard dogs bailed her up. She pretty much destroyed their gardens, boat, shed and smashed windows in their car trying to get away from them. When the police arrived, she drunkenly admitted that she had tried to poison my bees but got the wrong yard. She tried to sue me. If I wasn't trying to poison her bees, none of this would have happened. Cops and lawyer laughed at her. Cops threw the book at her, and my neighbors are suing her for all the damage, plus restraining order. She is now beyond broke. The bees are still there. When I hand out free honey around the neighborhood every few months, I always make sure she is around watching me and then intentionally don't give her any. Other neighbors tell me they regularly mention my bees around her just to see her lose her crap. My dad wanted to get bees for the farm, and amongst all the terrible decisions he made, the bees actually ended up being a pretty good investment. I was positive it was going to be a nightmare to work with, a nightmare to be around, but those bees were so chill. Never got stung after those bees moved in because they seemed to muscle out pretty much every airborne stinging butthole in the property. Totally would do it again. This is freaking amazing. I haven't laughed this hard in a while, thanks. Apparently slamming your doors at 3 a.m. hard enough that they rattle my bed so you can your billionth fight with your girlfriend. And I live on the freaking top floor. I moved out of an amazing apartment due to my upstairs neighbor Hulk smashing the toilet seat down every morning at 4 a.m. Monday through Friday. It has been nearly 4 years now, and even thinking back causes my eye to twitch and my blood pressure to spike. I'm not a vindictive person, but man, I started to lose my cool and was mentally preparing a list of war tools, stink bombs, gorilla glue to glue her car doors shut, fox urine in car AC vents, saran wrap at head level across door. Also planned a way to sneak in and install rubber impact absorbing feet on the toilet seat by scaling upstairs patio, etc. It became my morning ritual, and a running joke with my wife is when she woke me up I was pissed and going back to bed wasn't an option. Husband was cool, even after taking to him about it, but all that did was egg her on. Apartment complex staff tried speaking to them, but that didn't help for long either. /rage. I eventually showed her by going the same route and moving out. If you can handle the responsibility and the noise, get a cockatiel. They're really fun companions, but they whistle so loud you can hear it from 3 blocks away. Original poster replies. Laughing out loud, already have one. Nice. Around here? Apparently don't spray for dandelions. The number of nasty looks I've gotten from neighbors with untarnished grass lawns is pretty high. We drive our neighbor wild with our yard. She's the type to make her husband mow 2-3x per week. She works for the town, so she sends us nasty letters telling us mow or else at least once a year. Couple years ago our lawn mower was broken when she did that. Us, being the logical farmers we are, drove our 100 horsepower tractor into town with a 3-point hitch brush mower on and mowed our grass with it. While she was home. Didn't get another letter that whole summer. Purposefully plant clover. Lower maintenance than a grass lawn but still green and beautiful. Flowers are also gorgeous and great for pollinators. Spreads like crazy though, so all the lawn obsessed will hate it. Up until recently, we had these neighbors, Bob and Stella, who were a real pain in the butt. They would constantly get in a huff about parking, grass being too long in the neighbors' yards, what people kept on their driveways, etc. Basically, they were in homeowners association, except we didn't live in a neighborhood with an homeowners association. But they'd never tell you about their problems, they'd just snitch on you. On several occasions, they called the parking authority on us because our car had not moved for 48 consecutive hours, there was plenty of parking on the street, and we certainly weren't taking a space from anybody else. They had called the city office because we had a storage container on our driveway for longer than the city bylaws permitted. They called the SPCA on us because our dog was crying to come in for 5 minutes. We were working downstairs and didn't hear him, and it was also a beautiful day outside. He was perfectly fine. Over time, my dad took note of Bob and Stella's patterns. One thing he noticed was that Bob was very particular about being the first one on the street to do things. First to cut his grass in spring, first to trim the hedges around his house, first to plant his garden. Whatever it was, Bob had to do it first. Then Dad found the thing he could exploit easily that would piss Bob off, and the best part was that he could do it every single Tuesday morning without fail. See, one of the things Bob had to do first was brought his garbage can in after the garbage men had been. They had no sooner dropped his garbage can back on the ground before Bob was out the door to grab it. Only problem was that the garbage men always came down the back alley on our side of the street, then crossed the street to the alley by Bob's place, then collected Bob's garbage. It became a Tuesday ritual for my dad. He'd wake up early, make a coffee, sit out front of the house in his favorite patio chair, and read the newspaper until the garbage men came along to collect. Once they dropped his can back on the ground, he'd give them a friendly wave, get out of his chair, go grab the garbage can and put it back on our driveway. He got back to his patio chair just in time to see Bob go storming out with a pissed-off look on his face to be the second person on the street to grab his garbage can. On some occasions, Dad would even give Bob a friendly wave too. Take up an outdoor hobby. Carpentry, blacksmithing, something like that. I recommend blacksmithing because you can get to the loud bit for significantly cheaper. You usually need a power tool like a circular saw to get loud in carpentry, but it's almost impossible to hit steel off steel quietly. Plus, you learn a skill and can make things for around the house. My neighbor had a super annoying son and his friends were constantly running over into our yard and breaking stuff. We got a dog named Molly. Every time she had to poop, I'd put her on a leash and walk over to the property line, so she could drop off some landmines for the kid. They were always on my property so the neighbors couldn't complain about my dog pooping in their yard. Finally, the bratty kid had his bratty friends over for a bratty birthday party and his parents sent them all outside to play and of course they were running over into our yard. Got 3 or 4 of the little bastards. After that they never came into our yard again. Molly got belly rubs and a hamburger that night. Wind chimes. The guy next to my parents collects them. I asked him once how many he had. 37. 30. Effing. 7. 37? In a row? Be overly friendly. Every time you see them, drop whatever you're doing to go talk to them. Ask their advice on even the simplest of thing. Let them know all your problems. Act like they are your new best friends. Put a 6 a.m. start time yard sale post with their address on the local message board. Whenever my neighbors play super loud music past curfew, I check to see if they have their device on Bluetooth, and if they do, I change their music into kitty music, Barney, Teletubbies, etc., and turn up the volume even louder to force them to turn off the speakers, so I can sleep. Edit. Whoa, I didn't expect you guys to like this, but yeah, I'm aware the PIN can be 0000 or 1234, but with the new devices that's been out, you can make your own code now to prevent people messing with you. Luckily, my neighbors are not knowledgeable on their devices, so I can still interrupt their fun whenever they party too hard. Depending how old the device is, all you do is turn on your Bluetooth, go to your settings to Bluetooth, and see what you can connect. From there, connect to whatever is available and hope there is no PIN code. Luckily for me, my neighbors have old devices that do not require a code, so it was easy to get into their electronics when they get on my nerves. Edit. I forgot to mention that if you want to connect, you have to be at a certain range, 30 feet/10 meters. And as many have mentioned, the PIN can be 0000 or 1234, but as I said in my first post, you can make your own PIN in some of the new devices now, so it's a hit and miss. And yes, there are other ways to get into the Bluetooth, but some of those methods takes time and dedication. Set your car alarm off when you think they're sleeping. Our cats did this all by themselves. Our neighbors got a small yappy dog and would let it go outside. Our cats figured out if they sat on the fence and stared at him, it would drive the dog completely insane. They were completely safe because he couldn't jump that high. They would sit there for hours just watching him lose his crap. The neighbor asked us to please tell our cats to stop torturing their dog. We said, well, they're cats, they're not really going to listen to us. How about you don't leave him locked outside all the time? The guy was kind of butthole anyway, so we didn't have much motivation to stop them anyway. Eventually they just stopped leaving the dog outside all the time. My upstairs neighbor and the neighbor to the side both vacuum at least 4 times a week, leading to hearing vacuuming, sometimes doubled, at least once a day. My upstairs neighbor also seems to be incapable of having a calm phone conversation and wears shoes to bed. I'm not even kidding. Like, gets into bed, and we hear her kick her shoes off. All legal as far as I know. Paint your home some ungodly mesh of colors. So many of the comments on here are telling you to deface your own property to make it an eyesore. I don't think original poster wants to make his own house ugly to annoy his neighbors. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.